Simon, you should have gone Android. You should have gone Android. Why don't you have an Android? Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of Business Blaze. I am the boy with the blaze. I guess this should say your boy with the blaze because it only makes sense for me. But if you'd like to buy this t-shirt and become a boy with the blaze yourself, or indeed a girl with the blaze, or indeed just a person who likes Business Blaze, please do head over to perchthemerch.co and consider purchasing some fine merch. There's also the hashtag CancelSimon t-shirt, which is actually right there waiting to make an appearance. 5 of the most bizarre patents. What happens here is Danny writes us a script, I shall read it, and Sam, the video editor, professional memologist, will add some memes, and that's what goes on here. Welcome to the Blaze! Oh God, I mean welcome to Business Blaze. I can't call myself the Blaze because there's that right-wing channel that people who are right-wing are always like, Simon the Blaze is super reasonable. But don't watch Alex Jones. Don't watch The Blaze. Look at the size of that heading. I complained previously that Danny made the size of the headings and the subheads all the same. So when I have a giant stack of scripts to get through, it's quite confusing as where one begins. So Danny decided to put it in like 0.120, which is perfect. My printer loves him. The environment loves him. Let's start with a cheerful thought. Did I read the title? This is 6 of the most bizarre patents. Oh my God, get on with it, Simon. There's already enough people complaining, being like, what's with all the jibber jabber? Get to the facts, fact boy.
No lollygagging.
Let's start with the cheerful thought. Imagine you're staying on the top floor of a swanky hotel when all of a sudden it bursts violently into flames. The firefighters are on their way, but you're not convinced they're going to make it in time. Smoke is beginning to seep through the crack of the door, and in the distance you can hear the screams of your fellow guests as they begin to hurl themselves through the windows in sheer desperation. The temperature is rising and you're finding it increasingly difficult to breathe as the smoke begins to engulf the whole room. But you feel strangely calm because you were smart enough to come prepared for such a crisis. You quickly unzip your suitcase and triumphantly take out your toilet snorkel. Oh, this is actually quite smart. I bet this was invented for people being gassed. Like if you're in like a war zone or whatever and you need access to air because, you know, the pipes that lead into the building are gonna be smelly, but they're not gonna be being gassed like the room you're in. So if you can get like a hose pipe down the toilet and into that air supply, that's gonna give you clean, non-poisoned air. I'm not inventing this right now. I'm fairly sure I've heard of this somewhere. Or it was in a movie, you know, where James Bond's being poisoned and he's like, what are we gonna do? Get the hose, shove it down the toilet, and he breathes it in. It probably wasn't James Bond. He's too classy for that. He'll have like something in his watch that allows him to breathe. But like maybe Jason Bourne would be into that. William O. Holmes was granted a US patent for his toilet snorkel invention in 1981. The idea is quite a sound one in many ways. When you're trapped in a fire, the biggest threat to your life and most common cause of death is the smoke inhalation rather than the flames. If you could find a quick new source of fresh air for a few moments, it could potentially keep you going until the firefighters arrive. And William O. Holmes reckons that this life-saving source of fresh air could be found down the bends of your toilet. Maybe fresh air? It's pushing it a bit. Yes, it is! As of course you're essentially breathing in sewer gas, but this would hardly be the time to get all dramatic and over fussy. The user is meant to put on the snorkel, squat beside the toilet, and shove the tubing through the water trap of the toilet to access the fresh-ish air from the vent pipe connected to the sewer line. Wow, it's very precise. I like all these pattern drawings. They're so precise. Look at that. It's really nice. It's like a cartoon, but for engineers. In his patent description, William claims that this could provide you with several hours of new air. He also helpfully points out that if the firefighters arrive on the scene with a depleted oxygen tank, you could double the fun by sharing your toilet snorkel with him and becoming toilet snorkel buddies. What a dream. Am I right? This should help keep you both going until another firefighter with a depleted oxygen tank comes to the rescue. Oh God, there's gonna be just like 17 firefighters huddled around the toilet, like all like puff and pass, my friends, puff and pass. It may all sound a little silly, but at least there was some rational thinking behind the concept, even if William wasn't exactly flushed with success from the results. You just can't help wondering if he could have rigged up something equally effective for the bathroom sink rather than focusing all of his energy on the toilet. No, you can't with the bathroom sink because there's a water trap in toilets. Like we just said, like look at the picture, how there's the water like on both sides. That water prevents the smoke going into the other side, obviously. In a sink, that's not there, so there's no trap. Come on, Danny! But when you consider some of the other bizarre patterns to have been granted over the years, this one was actually pretty sensible. Was that the introduction? That was the introduction. Let's jump in. Early crap alarm clock. Early minds have been struggling with the concept of a decent alarm clock for thousands of years. It's believed that Plato came up with the first true awakening device at some point during his lifetime at some point during his life. No, he came up with it after he was dead, Danny. Between 428 and 347 BC. Plato's water clock worked on the principle of water dripping slowly from one vessel to another. As the water hit the final closed vessel, it forced the contained air to come out with a whistling kettle noise through a bit of tubing at its top, and alerted Plato that it was time to wake up and do a bit of philosophizing. It may have lacked a snooze feature, but this was still a fairly accurate stab at an early alarm clock. Okay, what the f is with my phone? I would like my snooze to be longer than 9 minutes, because I don't use the snooze function, but every morning I reach out of bed and I'm just like, and then I grab my phone and I generally, because I'm addicted to work, I check my emails in bed. But every 9 minutes, it's gonna go off until I turn it off. But I don't want to turn off the snooze feature, because on the very rare occasion, which hasn't literally happened in years, but I'm still worried about it, that I do fall back asleep after my alarm has gone off, I do want the snooze feature. But I don't want it to be 9 minutes. It's always 9 minutes. And for the life of me, I can't work out how to change it. I don't think it's changeable. I think I even looked it up and they were like, you can't change it. Why? And everyone in the comments being like, oh, Simon, you should have got an Android. You should have got an Android. Why don't you have an Android? No one cares. Oh my God, what is going on? What goes on here? Oh, shit. By the late 19th century, the alarm clock had moved on to slightly more practical mechanical devices, but we still hadn't quite reached the stage of electronic devices that could wake us up instantly with a loud blast of David Hasselhoff. What else would wake you up in the morning? Personally, I've Yoko Ono. Yoko Ono, you're such a terrible artist. So terrible. I think I'm going to release a spoken word version of Yoko Ono's albums, and it would be better, and I wouldn't even be trying. I'd just read the lyrics. Release them on Spotify. And honestly, it would be better. It would be better. It would be 100% better.
Let's come together and cherry blossoms in full bloom. It's very simple, you know, but...
A guy called Samuel S. Applegate from Camden, New Jersey, was becoming increasingly concerned that the human mind was getting accustomed to hearing the sound of the mechanical alarm bell, and we were learning to completely ignore it. Yeah, that's a problem. Because we don't have bells waking us up anymore, Sam. If this situation was allowed to carry on, all the kids would be late for school, nobody's chimney would get swept, and the Sinclair C5 would probably never get invented. OG Business Blaze legend joke. I was reading, I'd heard of the website TV Tropes, and Danny was like, Simon, have you seen this review of Business Blaze on TV Tropes? And I was like, no, but I read it, and it's just like Business Blaze started out as a Simon Whistler channel that was just slightly more casual than the rest of his things. It then, over a period of months, devolved into, I don't think they said devolved, because it was quite a nice write-up. It changed into just being a sea of in-jokes and memes, and I was like, yes. So Samuel came up with an alarm clock that was a bit more welly. He patented his invention in 1882, which would quite literally wake you up by smashing you in the face. The snappily named device for waking persons from sleep, well done you marketing genius, perchthebirch.co, consisted of a large frame of dangly cords with softwood or cork blocks attached to the end, and this whole frame would hang directly above your sleeping head at night. What the f*** is going, dude? No. The frame was attached to a standard mechanical clock, and then as the clock strikes the appointed hour, the frame drops and the cork blocks strike you in the face for what could best be described as a rude awakening. What the f*** is going on? Who would want this? Samuel was keen to point out that the blow should not be strong enough to cause actual pain, but I do wonder if a softer choice of material than wood or cork may have been more palatable. Perhaps feathers. Or tassels or something. Either way, there's no escaping the fact that the whole cumbersome bit of kit looks a bit like a death trap waiting to ensnare its sleeping victim, and the whole idea was quickly forgotten like the cloudy remnants of a long summer dream. It was beautiful, Danny. Beautiful. You wordsmith. The Gerbil tunnel vest. What the fuck is this? I used to know a bloke called Poole who kept ferrets. He was probably a bit weird. The slightly weird thing is that he used to shove them down his jumper and take them out with him on walks. I've actually heard of this. People you can put a ferret under, and and I don't know, it likes it. Weird. I'd often bump into him in town, and I could be talking to him for a good 10 minutes before a ferret's head popped out of his jumper to make his presence known. This is also weird, like people walking cats. I saw a guy walking a cat the other day, and I was like, that's weird, but respect. And if I had a cat, if I didn't think everyone would look at me like I'm a total weirdo, I would walk the out of my cat. I'd put it on a little cat leash, and I'd take it around. I'd take a little milk with me. I'd feed it some milk. I'd take it to the pub. It'd be great. Me and Paul could hang out. Do cats eat ferrets? I'm pretty sure Paul would have loved the Gerbil tunnel vest if the 1999 patent had ever made it into production. I'm not sure why inventor Bryce Belle-Isle, okay, specified gerbils in the patent descriptions. I'm pretty sure it would work equally well for ferrets, hamsters, mice, rats, guinea pigs, snakes. Jesus, snakes. I don't like snakes. And a couple of rabbits at a push. I don't think they should go in there together. The snakes are going to have a good time, everyone else is going to have a bad time. It's clearly not very practical to walk around with your gerbil or hamster on a leash. It might get trod on by strangers or stolen by a crow. The vest and belt combination is integrally formed with tubular passageways which extend around your body and terminate in the pocket-like chambers of the vest for feeding times and retrieval. So it's a bit like a maze or an activity center for your rodent, allowing them to freely wander around the tunnels of your jumper while you're on the go. Okay, this is just so strange. I mean, it's so specific. The vest is made from waterproof materials to guard against undesirable leakages from your furry friend. Yeah, dude, what about your pool friends? That gerbil's pissing all inside. That ferret's gerbil? Whatever, it's pissing all inside your jumper. It's a bad time.
I can walk. They can walk.
But my favorite part of the design is that the outer walls of the vest are completely transparent, so that strangers in the street can see exactly what's going on and then quickly cross the road to get away from the village loony. Yeah, dude, I mean, look at this picture. Even this guy's smiling face. Look at that guy. He looks like a weirdo even in the pattern, and we just described, like, they're cartoons for engineers. The guy in the toilet one, he's literally breathing air out of a toilet and he doesn't look like a weirdo. The guy with the ferret jumper, look at him. Why is he so happy? No one should be that happy. The inventor, Bryce, also helpfully points out in his patent description that the gerbil tunnel vest shouldn't be put through a washing machine and that you should try to avoid falling down while wearing it. You should just try to avoid falling down anyway. If you're outside and you're walking along and you're actively not trying to avoid falling down, what is wrong with you? I'm sure there would have been a couple of people out there who would have found this stylish, fashion-forward invention to be quite useful. Someone like my mate Paul. But for the other 7.5 billion members of the population, I can't help thinking that Bryce Belle-Isle appears to have devoted a considerable chunk of his life to fixing a problem that didn't really exist in the first place. That's right. Like most inventions. Look, most of them are just dumb. So someone approaches you, tells you, look, I've got this great idea for an invention. Odds of it being dumb? 99%. 99%. The reward candy dispenser. As I'm sure most of us know from personal experience, being chained to a computer desk for 852 hours without a break can become mentally draining after a while. Danny, we talked about this! Danny has been disciplined. It won't take long before your attention starts to wander, and you become consumed by distracting thoughts of checking the news, visiting social media, or wondering how it would be physically impossible for mermaids to reproduce. I have thought about that. I mean, how? Well, the good news is they're not real, so we don't have to worry. Before long, you've fallen down a rabbit hole of 5G conspiracy theories, Trump tweets, and the very fishy theories about mermaids. Oh my god, I gotta read you this tweet. Hold on, this is so good. Because I'm quite anti-conspiracy theory, I make fun of the 5G people because they're so dumb, and the pandemic people, you just stop being dumb. Obviously, they're very extreme and they're very hardcore, so they love leaving some crazy-ass comments on this. Someone recently tweeted one at me. Hold on, my internet sucks, just a sec. Oh yeah, follow me on Twitter, by the way, at Simon Whistler, for more like this. Someone called a right. Oh no, is this not the main one? Okay, this one will do. It wasn't like the leading comment on the description. By the way, douche, it does. Hey Sam, pull this off my Twitter because the spelling's fantastic, so just pop it up here. By the way, douche, it does make sense if you're not a brain-dead sheep. I post this all over Whistler's stupid comment section solely because the arrogant moron claimed he would ban anyone who said 5G and COVID in the same sentence. By the way, an issue I have no opinion on. Dude, I've read your other comments. You clearly think that 5G causes COVID. You've been literally posting it all over my shit. Well, YouTube doesn't work that way. There's no banning people making, and then it says read more, I didn't click on it. And then I'm like, I just post to my Twitter, like the option on YouTube that says hide user from channel. So it's like, dude, the idea that I can't ban people making comments is false. There is a button. There are many people who are banned. Yeah, don't be crazy, people. Don't be crazy. Don't be crazy, or I'll just ban you. Because your voice doesn't deserve to get people to be like, free speech! Free speech! I just like, shut the f*** up. And on my channel, I can shut you the f*** up if you don't like it. Too f***ing bad! And it was, if you're watching... But imagine how much more work you could get done at your computer if it rewarded you with a candy treat every time you hit a milestone or accomplished something of significance. I like that. The reward candy dispenser for personal computers was dreamed up by Anthony Peter Vanderberg in 1998, and the initial idea was for the invention to be installed in schools to work in tandem with educational software. As Anthony notes in his patent, computer programs often reward young students with little celebratory sounds or graphic special effects on the screen when they solve a puzzle or answer a question correctly. It's called positive feedback. It's good. And this probably seems fairly impressive and gratifying the first time around, but it's only a matter of time before students realize this was a bit shit, really, and begin to lose interest and start stabbing each other in the eye with pencils. Yeah, it's true. Like, I mean, there's only so far that rewards can go. It's like, I really think that internal motivation is just such a huge driver of success in life. I mean, and luck and all that other shit, but it's like, if you need to be rewarded to do something, I don't think you're going to be that successful. But if you just are driven for no particular reason at all in a crazy way, you're going to be successful. Anthony's battery-powered invention looks and sounds quite complex in his patent description, but it's essentially nothing more than a simple computer peripheral which programmers can implement into their own software design. I would smash that open so fast or work out a way to cheat it. There's not so much in the way of wires or cables as everything is controlled by a photosensor diode element in the device. Essentially, the software program will send a graphical signal to the device after the student has successfully completed a task or puzzle, and this will release a small bit of candy into a chute as a reward for your achievement. It's like you're a little mouse in an experiment. So it's a bit like a gumball machine, but it works on the expenditure of mental energy instead of 10p pieces. Sadly, the idea didn't seem to generate much interest, but I think that maybe the scope of the original patent just wasn't ambitious enough. The kids would only get bored with candies after a few goes anyway and start lobbing them at the teacher. But imagine how much more work you might get done if your computer rewarded you with a pickled egg and a glass of tequila every time you managed to stay on Facebook or Twitter for half an hour. Yeah, but I mean, after 5 hours, you're going to be pretty f***ed up. Something like this could increase global productivity by about 278%. Danny, you've obviously done the research. I just think they need to chew over the approach and design for a little longer. The Amusement Urinal. Or, as Americans will say, urinal. Weird. Let's spare a thought for the great scientific minds who are currently working on the unusual concept of gamifying the gents' urinal. While it's not entirely to do with fun and games for the sake of having a laugh, the driving force behind the concept is about trying to get drunk men to aim a bit straighter in the gents of pubs and nightclubs so that owners, or more likely the cleaners, don't have to wade through a sea of piss the following morning. Oh my god, like nightclub toilets. Fucking hell, it's like, what is this situation? One simple idea was to place a big red and blue target at the center of the bowl, but this was deemed to be ineffective in nightclubs where the patrons are often too inebriated to appreciate such a passive device. A later idea, which proved to be popular for a short while, was to attach a miniature propeller into the bowl. This was partly intended to be fun for the user as he attempts to make the propeller spin with the force of his flow, and it was also meant to eliminate spillage, although this didn't actually work as it often resulted in the urine getting propelled right back into the user. Yeah, what's up with urinals? Or urinals. Urinals. Where it's like you're having a piss, and it's like, I swear this is designed to splash back on my hands. Like, where am I supposed to pee to not get it to splash onto myself? What the f***, designer? And then you'll use another urinal, and you're like, well, they've done it, haven't they? No splashback. Why is that not the urinal in every toilet? What the f***? And don't even get me started on troughs, where you have to pee into a trough, like a big metal thing, and there's just dudes standing next to you, and their pee's hitting the thing, and you're like, what the f***? I had this at school when I was like 11, it was bad enough. I'm a grown-ass man. But one of my favorite patents came from Lewis R. Douglas in 1987, who came up with the Amusement Urinal. The idea is that the urinal is fitted with multiple sensors which send an electrical signal to a control unit when it detects fresh flow. This activates a connected video screen or speaker, which springs into life and provides provides audio and visual stimulation which can be varied according to the direction and strength of the stream. Weirdly, the pattern doesn't go into much detail on exactly what kind of dazzling entertainment the user is likely to find himself immersed in. In fact, the pattern description is surprisingly dry in tone. The resulting structure is a device which interactively captures the attention of users who are not otherwise fully aware of their actions and provides entertainment to users who would otherwise amuse themselves by directing their urine outside of the toilet bowl or urinal. Urinal. Oh my god, I just completely turned off on that. I hope you guys were paying attention. Normally when this happens, it's boring. Like I'm reading something, I'm like, what happens? Normally it's when I'm making a video about baseball, and I'm like, I have no idea. I just finished the video and I'm like, no idea. Someone could ask me a question that was addressed multiple times in the video and I wouldn't know the answer to it because I just read it and I'm just like, wow. Surprised it sounds good because I was paying no attention whatsoever. So I'm getting the feeling his description was boring. It even says surprisingly dry in tone. Oh my god. Spot on. But a big part of me thinks we could get quite ambitious on this. The user could get involved with a forensic blast of Space Invaders, or maybe a new digital adaptation of the famous Buzzwire game in which you'd have to navigate your way across the wire without touching it and setting off the buzzer, which would send an electrical shock through your member. Fucking hell, no. Might just need to reword that original slogan for the game. You'll need a steady hand to beat the buzz. The Santa Claus Detector. My voice is getting tired from all the shouting today. And we had a previous one which was also a bit shouty. I'm gonna get a glass of water, I'll be back. There are usually a few clues that a young child might spot on Christmas morning, which indicates they've received a visit from Santa Claus in the middle of the night. The mince pies and carrots have disappeared. There's a stack of new presents in their stocking, and there's reindeer shit all over the living room carpet. Yeah, that was always my parents did. Be like, look, Santa's been here. There's feces everywhere. But some of the more cynical kids may need a little more convincing. And you can't argue with clear-cut scientific proof that Santa came down the chimney last night. First patented in 1994 by Thomas Kane, the Santa Claus detector is essentially a big tripwire for anyone foolish enough to be traveling down your chimney. The invention is centered around a simple stocking which you hang on one side of your fireplace. Inside the stocking is a light source and a switching mechanism. A decorative pull cord in the style of a fancy Christmas ribbon is attached to the toe of the stocking. What is going on? There's a picture. I'll move to this side. There's a picture, Sam. The minute that Santa drops down the chimney, he breaks an electrical circuit housed in the original stocking and sets off a flashing light, delivering concrete evidence of his presence to the young doubting mind that wakes up and inspects the Santa trap the next morning. Now, before we go any further, I think it's time we address the glaringly obvious problem. Yeah, Santa's not real, is he, kids? It's very possible that Santa Claus could have a nasty accident when he crashes through the wire, and Santa is the one guy that kids really don't want to piss off. Yeah, or that could be the problem. That could also be the problem. I suppose there's also the other very minor niggling issue that he doesn't exist, making the whole invention a massive waste of time. I'm not even sure how exactly parents are meant to use it. Are they meant to pull the tripwire themselves last thing at night after they've polished off Santa's mince pies and sherry and binned the carrot? Or are they meant to see if it actually worked and then face the risk of a grisly, disappointed child the next morning? A child that wakes up to the cold, harsh reality of the generosity of his parents. When I start giving Christmas gifts to my kid, I'm going to be really annoyed because they'll be like, oh, thanks, Santa. And I'll be like, he didn't pay for that. Give me some credit! I suppose it could have been put to better use as a very jolly and festive 19th century chimney burglar detector. But I think a better idea would be to come up with an invention that doesn't just trigger a flashing light, it actually ensnares Santa in a noose and keeps a tight grip on him until the child decides to free him the next morning. You can't get much more solid proof than that. The only downside would be my getting risk placed on the naughty list next year for holding Santa under false imprisonment. And as we all know, kids on the naughty list are only destined to receive a small lump of coal and a gerbil tunnel vest next Christmas. Ba-da-bum-bum! This has been Business Blaze. I have been the boy with the blaze. You can purchase this shirt and other shirts, including #CancelSimon at purchasethemerch.co. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Wow, that ending was good. I'm getting good at this. Come on, Danny!